let's jump into what we want to talk about. The first thing I just want to note off the top, Al Horford gets a 2-year, $20 million extension from the Boston Celtics. It's a fascinating deal. Al Horford's been awesome this year. There are like some cracks starting to show a little bit here and there, but he started 18 of their games so far, averaging like 10 points a game, 6 or 7 rebounds, shooting 55% from the field, 48% from three on reasonable volume, doing just everything that you hope to see from Al Horford. He's averaging like 3 assists per game. It's just who he is. He's the consummate professional NBA center, and he's the perfect center for the modern game. I do think that we're starting to see just like a little bit of the cracks defensively here and there from time to time, where they struggle to contain just a little bit more when he's involved in the action. And he's not like a great rim protector anymore by any stretch of the imagination. But the value he adds offensively in terms of intelligence, ball movement, shooting, skill, finishing ability, intelligence in terms of shot selection. This is a great contract for them right now. It's basically a no risk contract for them at 2 years, $20 million, right?
I mean, there's less money guaranteed than the projected mid-level exception. It's quite little. So my reaction when I first saw it was like, man, they got Al Horford for that short. And by the way, basically every extension that Boston has given out under Brad Stevens, seems like extensions are kind of his thing. He's kind of building a little bit of an identity as an executive now. And he's got the Marcus Smart extension. He's got the Robert Williams extension. He's got the Josh Richardson extension. And now he's got the Horford one. And every extension has worked out. Even the Josh Richardson one where they tacked out an extra year. It's like they just flipped him for Derek White, who, by the way, is another Celtic who was essential in taking him to the finals last year and has been unbelievable this year. Extension sign, I'm like, well, that just worked out wonderfully. And with the Horford one, I looked at, I'm like, man, they got Horford for that. Just seems too cheap. It just seems too cheap for Al Horford. And then I was talking to somebody in the league who's uninvolved with the Celtics and uninvolved with Horford, but just another person in the league. And I said that to him. I was like, this is just way too cheap for Al Horford. This is insane. And that person kind of said to me, like, not really. Al Horford is 36 years old. And at some point when you're 36, his entire reputation is that, like you just said, he's the consummate professional. He just had a streak snapped in which he had the most amount of games as professional. He played the most amount of games of any player in the NBA without actually making it to the NBA finals. And that obviously just snapped in the spring. And he did the Philly thing. It didn't work. He did the OKC thing, actually played pretty well in OKC, but, ended up getting sent home because it was a bad basketball situation because they were trying to lose. And he ends up finding his way back to Boston and recovers his career. And it's like, when you think about it like that, where it's like he's 36 years old, he has a chance to legitimately win a title, as good of a chance as any other team could give him in the league. And he is in the place that has given him now twice an incredible basketball fit, an incredible basketball situation. Where else would he want to finish the last few good years he has remaining? Yeah. And by the way, I realize that you were very complimentary of Al Horford's game just now. I actually think there's an argument to be made that you were too harsh. I am curious to see if you're going to be saying if Horford's defensive game has fallen off a tick once Robert Williams comes back. Because when he and Robert Williams play together, changes the way that he can defend. That covers up just about everybody's warts. And certainly if you think a guy is just like an eighth of a step slower, he's not going to look an eighth of a step slower when you've got Robert Williams coming over and helping from the weak side. And Horford is so unbelievably smart. I mean, he is as smart of a defender as you can come by. He's unbelievably smart. He's such a great positional defender that when he knows he has that weapon on the weak side, he defends basically flawlessly. And that was part of the reason why their defense was just, you could score against them in the second half of last year when they went on that run into the finals. So I don't even know if he's going to look like a different defender. It could just be that Rob Williams has been out. And when you have Robert Williams back, he's going to look exactly the same as he did last year.
I think you're right, to be honest. And here's the other thing with this contract, it doesn't preclude them from doing anything long term, right? Like the big decision that's coming for them is whether or not Jaylen Brown makes All NBA this season and thus becomes Supermax extension eligible and like potentially an option to sign an extension or not. Because Jaylen Brown, because the contract he signed off of his rookie deal was so cheap, he can only make, if he doesn't make All NBA, 120% of what his current number is, which is in the like 25, 26 ballpark, if I remember correctly. And he'd be taking a bath on an extension if he signed an extension. So that's the big thing that's coming for them at the end of the day. But another decision that's coming for them is Grant Williams, right? Like they're going to have to figure out what to do with Grant. Grant's been awesome to start the year, and he decided to bet on himself and not sign an extension for relatively cheap, as opposed to what I think he's going to be worth on the open market this summer in a down free agency class, in a situation where he really could end up getting real dollars and cents attached to his name. So keeping Al Horford at this number allows them to stay in the Grant Williams sweepstakes, allows them no real issues in terms of flexibility long term. This is a home run. And like just Al Horford in general, man, like if they win a title and he is like a starting power forward / center on this title team, I don't think we're going to get to the point where Hall of Fame is a discussion with him, but maybe we don't get to a point where he makes the Hall of Fame.
You never know.
It is a discussion. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget, like in basketball, they care about college stuff, and he won 2 NCAA titles. Like Grant Hill is getting in there, and people justify it with Duke, right? Like it's like he was on like iconic collegiate teams and won back-to-back titles, and that's something that would definitely be part of his resume. Also, like let's be real, nobody really understands how the voting works for the Hall of Fame, and everybody likes Al Horford. Like, have you ever heard a bad word about Al Horford? So like benefit of the doubt, don't count against somebody just getting the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's dead on. Like he really could get the benefit of the doubt here. Look, we'll see where the Celtics season ends, but it's on a real positive trajectory right now because Jason Tatum looks like, this is the best offense I maybe have seen in the NBA, like point blank. I know that the numbers say it's the best offense of all time right now, but just aesthetically, it's beautiful. And it's because of like Jason Tatum at the center of it. He is such a remarkable 3-level scorer. And in today's NBA, if you have to guard multiple players from all 3 levels, like teams do with Jason and Jaylen Brown, it really just opens up the defense to such a substantial extent. It's so hard to guard them. They can go super fast and small. They can go, once Rob Williams gets back, they can certainly go big, even though they haven't really needed to go big all that often this season. It's a loaded team. Marcus Smart is playing super well as the key decision maker a lot of the time. He's averaging almost 8 assists a game, which is for people like that watched Marcus coming out of Oklahoma State and watched his early career in Boston, him averaging 7.6 assists and 2.2 turnovers, 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, playing incredibly effective basketball on the offensive end. I mean, that is it's not remarkable or anything, but it's pretty staggering to some extent. He has turned into the fulcrum of being able to just make high level decisions for this team initiating the offense. Not to say that Jason and Jaylen don't often initiate the offense, because they do, but Marcus is the guy that's just connecting everybody, keeping it moving, keeping it rolling right along. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm spending a lot of time talking about Marcus when at the end of the day, Jason Tatum, I think, would be my pick for MVP